Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Tuesday, the 11th of October 2022. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon, we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Let's jump into it. Story number 1, the S&P ASX 200 finished down 0.3% today to 6,645 points. The industrials were the best performers, while the energy, tech and real estate sectors did worst. Given all the action recently, there wasn't a huge amount going on today, at least among the large caps. Diversified miner South 32 closed down 3%. That was the worst performer of the big guys, while Fortescue Metals and Woodside Energy both dropped 2%. Commonwealth Bank was off 1%. James Hardie Industries was a strong performer, up 1.7%, while Toll Road Group Transurban jumped 0.6%. Story number 2, the federal government is riding high since its election victory, slightly increasing its lead over the opposition in a Sydney Morning Herald The Age survey. The Liberal Party's primary vote has gone from 28% to 26%, while Labor's primary vote has held steady at 39%. The Greens have gone from 10% to 12%. Voters have swung toward Labor to back its handling of more than a dozen major policy challenges ahead, with 36% naming the party as best to handle the economy compared to 30% who prefer the coalition. The support has lifted Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and Labor to a strong lead in the electorate across issues ranging from the nation's finances to foreign affairs and climate change, while the coalition leads on national security by a fraction of a percentage point. Mr Albanese has also kept a personal edge over opposition leader Peter Dutton of 53 to 18% when voters were asked to name their preferred Prime Minister. That's the third consecutive month with a gap that large. Story number 3, Federal Treasurer Jim Chalmers today called rising power prices the most problematic factor in our inflation problem. He said rising power prices were the result of what's happening around the world, extreme weather that's disrupted power stations, and the fact that Australia hasn't had a stable policy environment for energy. The comments came after several CEOs of energy companies agreed that retail electricity prices will rise 35% next year. And the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission Chair, Gina Cass-Gottlieb, said the median household electricity bill had risen $300 since April. Dr. Chalmers is on his way to Washington for the International Monetary Fund World Bank annual meeting. It will be a grim affair with the outlook for the global economy deteriorating and recession likely in several major economies. Ahead of boarding the plane, Dr. Chalmers said a global recession has gone from a possibility to a probability, but he didn't think Australia would go into recession. Story number 4, retailer Baby Bunnings share price tumbled 20% today after it warned its profits had been hammered by inflation and the weak Aussie dollar. It's a good case study in how the global economy is affecting local retailers. The Australian economy is going okay, and total sales at Baby Bunting in the September quarter were up 12%. But input costs surged with domestic freight prices higher and the weaker Aussie dollar upping the cost of imported products needed to stock the shelves. The maternity and baby goods retailer was a high flyer during the pandemic, with the share price hitting more than double what it closed at yesterday. And finally, story number 5, US President Joe Biden condemned the utter brutality of Russia's missile barrage at civilian targets in Ukraine overnight, a significant escalation of the conflict now in its 8th month. Mr. Biden didn't specify how the US would respond to the attacks, but signalled he could approve new sanctions on Russia and weapons shipments to Ukraine, according to Bloomberg. He said the US and its allies would continue to impose costs on the Kremlin and provide the support necessary for Ukrainian forces to defend their country and their freedom. The bombardment killed at least 11 people and wounded 64 others, while knocking out electricity in 5 regions, as well as disrupting power in Kyiv, the capital, and other parts of the country. That's it for the afternoon report for Tuesday, the 11th of October, 2022. Michael Thompson and I will be back tomorrow morning with a Wednesday edition of Fear and Greed. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.